Sup fams, you're tuned in to the Channel Eeps episode 154. I'm your host EEPMON, and today I like to dive a little bit more about my creative entrepreneurship. And what does that mean? It means as a creative, as an artist, engaging in developing new business opportunities, diversifying your portfolio, and diversifying your industry reach. So it's not just creating art for art's sake. It is also about going out there into the world, embracing the unknown, the uncertainties, building partnerships, relationships, and to expand beyond just your locality and your comfort zone. On that note, I recently was in Japan for about 2 weeks last month in March. Despite the current economic climate, and it's something that I've been doing many years. Like, honestly, this is probably my 16th time. I was looking at my passport, and since 2017 I've been in Japan for about 16 times. But why do I do it? Why do I do this? There are some people who say that, who just couldn't understand or wrap their head around why it is I do this. What is the ROI, which stands for return on investment? How is that building opportunities? How is that, at the end of the day, making any type of money? What's the financial gain? So, to each their own. Every person has their energies and their alignment to specific things that they enjoy, what they want to pursue, where they want to go, looking deep into their creative passions. And for those who have the courage, they seek it out. But very long story short, like, why is it that I go back to Japan? Well, it actually happened. My interest in Japan was at a very young age. You know, I used to play Transformers. I used to play Nintendo all the time. I still play Nintendo. But video games, graphics, arts, and design. I had the crazy Sony Walkmans and all those great designs and all that. So I think the impression of Asia. I'm a Canadian. I was born and raised here in Ottawa. So the impression I have was sort of like that connectivity to Asia at large, specifically Japan, because I grew up around these things. Like, what are these robots? What are these Transformers? What are these things? So anyway, I guess subconsciously I decided that part of my creative endeavors was to be part of that story, that excitement, that youthful energy that I always wanted to pursue, and I continue to do so even today. Anyway, I got sidetracked a bit. So why do I keep on going back? Well, because, and what's the ROI? The ROI for me is building relationships, expanding. It's like domain expansion. You are completely immersed. You're immersing yourself in a totally new environment, new audiences, clean slate. There's no one really to guide you, right? If you're staying in your locality, you're surrounded by people that you know. You're surrounded by people who think that they know better for what you want to do with your career, your life. When you are in a totally different environment, it is up to you. You are in your rawest state. So you got to be strategic. You got to be smart. You got to know your way around, and within the time that you have, with the resources that you have, limited resources, I might add, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? You have a fixed amount of time, and you got to make it snappy. You got to make some things work, right? Not everything is going to work, but make those connections. This is you're in your rawest form. So reach out to new audience, cold email, cold call, meet these people, engage in some capacity of of building new networks, new relationships, no matter how awkward it could be, or no matter the capacity of that connection. The fact that you have done your due diligence and make a connection is already a very powerful experience, a very powerful impact. So, and I know that going there for the first time or the second time or third time is not enough. You have to go back over and over again to build the rapport, build the relationships, build the synergy. And that is very important. And that taught me a lot. That taught me a lot about who I am, my capabilities, how far I can dare myself to go. And through that experience, I learned how to take that and bring it back here, or bring it back, or apply it to other endeavors, other opportunities. And I must say, it is quite addictive in a good way, because you're always kind of like chipping away that curiosity. It's like, oh man, okay, I gotta know more. I gotta figure this out. Oh, can I do this? Can I do that? And lo and behold, over several trials and tribulations, I did get opportunities in Japan. I did get opportunities. I've been invited to speak. I was able to do some projects. I was invited going back to Japan to do workshops. And I stopped myself and I go, wow, it's actually happening. What I've always dreamt of, like going abroad and doing something, utilizing my creative energy, my creative power to engage the world. And there I was. And one thing led to another. And then one day, this is actually several years ago, there was a call for the Team Canada trade mission to Japan. And they were looking for specifically creative industries types to be part of the trade mission. And I was like, yeah, I've been going back to Japan many times. I have a pretty solid understanding of what the creative industry is over there. I applied and I got in. And I was on an official minister-led trade mission, huge Canadian trade mission to Japan. Now, we go back to that question. People ask me, well, what was it all for? Why do you go back? What's the ROI? What is your financial gain? I think people miss the big point. The big point was never about really the financial gain. It is really about expanding and building your skill, your repertoire, your relationships. The ROI is being able to involve yourself in so many of these aspects that and I've never expected the Team Canada trade mission to fall in my lap, but here it was. So the ROI is manifesting itself in new ways that I have not even fathomed. And then here I was on an official trade mission. That's a huge ROI, I must say. I built great relationships with the Embassy of Canada, the people there. We have a similar, we align with many similar mandates, bringing the best of creative industries to the world. They see what I do, and perhaps there's some potential alignment and collaboration in that endeavor. So like as an entrepreneur, as a creative entrepreneur, it's not just like you just stay in your own little habitat and grow, which is all to power to you if you want to do that. But if you really want to expand, if you really want to embrace that uncertainty, you have to take these risks. You have to go out there. You have to build the network, build the relationships. And over time, through the serendipitous way the universe works, trust that things will eventually fall into place. But you have to have conviction. And that's, I believe, where I find myself today. So my trip with Japan was very fruitful. Now I'm falling on top of the trip with Japan. I don't want to make this conversation too long, but on that long-winded story, I was back in Japan last month, and I was engaged with creative industries, continued B2Bs. I might be back in Japan probably like early fall, for more workshop related endeavors. You know, I got a personal tour by the Commissioner General for the Canadian Pavilion for Osaka Expo 2025 as well. I had not never I didn't plan that out. I wasn't planning that out, but somehow the stars aligned, and there I was, at the Osaka Expo 2025, getting a nice tour, which I'm very grateful, of the Canadian Pavilion. Like, to get a ticket or get access to this is extremely, like, I mean, how I never thought that would happen. And then, again, what's the ROI? The ROI is really building these great relationships. And I have no expectation. Okay, I don't know if something will come out of it or not. But for me, I'm already content with the fact that bridges have been made, the connections have been made, the network has been established, and then through this sort of, like, again, the grapevine, the 3 or 4th degrees of separation. I mean, I'm meeting all these other great Canadian creators, academics, entrepreneurs, and through, I would never have met them here in Canada, but here we are meeting in Japan. And perhaps, not 100% confirmed, but that's how the life of an entrepreneur works. Perhaps there will be some alignments and partnerships in the near future. So that's what it is, folks. That's what I think. That's why I think, like, a little story about what goes on in my world sounds a little crazy, but in a way it's not. It's like, curiosity is the essence of innovation. And in my particular case, it's the creative industries. It could be something different for you, but that's the way I do things. And I have to balance things as well. I got to balance traveling. I got to balance the work I do here, nationally, locally, public speaking engagements. Then I have to, perhaps some workshops happening, back in Japan that's eventually going to happen, or Asia or Hong Kong, who knows? But it's a very holistic, being an entrepreneur is a very holistic endeavor. But at the same time, you have to execute. So being the ability to, I like to say, being elastic in a way that you're able to see the big picture, but in knowing when to do your due diligence and time manage yourself to get the task done. And then, it really is like a rubber band effect. That's probably one of the best ways I could describe it. So for those who are looking to pursue an entrepreneur, to be an entrepreneur, there's never the right timing. You just got to jump right into it. And that's what I did, despite the current economic climate conditions, volatility. I tell you, volatility, it's in our DNA. We live and we breathe it, and it never ends, folks. It's a roller coaster, right? There's high times, there's low times, there's side times, but, like, it never ends. It's part of life. That's as close as life it can be, closest as real life it can be, because life should never be stagnant, should never be static, right? It's always moving. So if you can figure out how to move in line with the momentum of what the universe gives you or provides, and just knowing how to And over time, you build a very good intuition in where you want to navigate, where you want to go. Sometimes, there's a full stop in certain paths, and that's fine. You just gotta pivot and go in another direction. And pivoting is very important in our world. So that's the name of the game. Anyway, I don't want to go too long, but I just thought that a little rant about the life of a creative entrepreneur, and I hope you find that insightful. Please like and subscribe. This is the Channel Eves episode 154, and I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great evening, everyone, or good morning, or good afternoon. Bye.